We're good? Okay, we are. Good evening. My name is Lynn Harrell. I'm the principal at Bayshore Elementary, and I'm so excited that our team is here tonight, our clogging team under the direction of Miss Christie, for your entertainment. I do want to tell you just a little bit. We're located in North Fort Myers. We're very proud of our school. The Bayshore Cloggers have been together, well, the beginning started in about almost 30 years ago. The parents are very, very involved in our program. They volunteer countless and hundreds of hours to build the float, to take kids back and forth to performances. They're just wonderful. The kids perform about 30 times every school year, and they're popular everywhere they go. We like to think of it as part of our community service. We're at some of the homes that are located close to our school. We even perform down in Naples. So we're quite proud of the team. We happen to think we have the very best school, right? Yes, we love our school. The parents are clapping too. We love our school. Bayshore is a great place to be, and I think you're going to see evidence of that with our children. Our motto is, what is it? Work hard, be kind, and you're going to see that. You see that everywhere you go. So please join me in putting your hands together for this very special group, the Bayshore Cloggers.
I'm gonna get out the sycamore, shine up the sheet, meet my baby and tell her the news. Bet my phone on the straight back nag and I come home with a good swag. I want to put two bucks in the drag, swing your 100 to the sugar but right, do with a jig and a zig and a zag. And his two fiddles as they play that sugar but rag. Well, I got a big jug of cider and a bottle of wine. Once for my honey and a good mine. Sip on the cider, sip on Jerry. He's gonna play that sugar rag. And that's the way you play this sugarfoot rag.
Good evening. The school board meeting of January 12, 2016 is now called to order. The time is 6 p.m. At this time, we request all electronic devices be turned off or put into the silent mode. We also ask that you please refrain from taking flash photography except during the special presentations portions of the meeting. We'd like to take this time to remind you, the members of the public, of the district's mission, which is to ensure each student achieve his or her highest potential, and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. Prior to the start of the evening's board meeting, we were enjoying the Bayshore Elementary clogging team under the direction of Miss Christy Payne. The talented team consists of 29 students representing grades K through 5, performing an average of 30 shows a year. The clogging team started in 1986, and since that time have performed hundreds of shows throughout Lee County. Every year, the parents work for several months during a float for the students to participate in all local parades. At this time, the Bayshore Elementary Cloggers will perform one more song.
I woke up this morning with a buzz rolling round in my brain. I haven't been drinking, but it feels pretty good just the same. It must be contagious, it looks like it's going around. It's cool once you catch it, can't keep your feet on the ground. Oh, now come on,
Thank you.
Elementary School Cloggers from North Fort Myers.
Before you release them, stop. Ladies and gentlemen, you can sit down. So this is Bayshore Elementary. It shows you the type of talent we have in our elementary schools. But not only is it the great talent for all of them, give them one more round of applause. So the character that it teaches. Mr. Trent Crone, tip your hat to the crowd, would you please? Trent?
Where is he?
Isn't that you? This right here? Isn't that you? You, Trent? What's your name? Would you tip your hat to the crowd? I want to introduce you to a cowboy and a gentleman. You couldn't see it because he was in the back, but during the dance, his hat fell off. Well, cowboys don't pick up their hats when they got a date waiting. He just kicked it to the side.
But
It also messed up her hair, and he stopped and helped her fix that.
yeah, yes, he
Gentleman and a cowboy. Thank you, everybody. At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break so we can let all the parents leave and all the dancers exit the building. We'll come back in 5 minutes.
got
Thank you.
kids. Good.
Okay, at this time, we will resume our regular meeting. This evening, we have a student representative here, and he's Braden March. He's a 9th grader at Riverdale High School. He plays 3 different instruments in the school's marching band, plans to go to the University of Florida, and has aspirations to either be a neurosurgeon or a politician. Both ways, you're got to be very adept with your brain and how to make things work better. This evening's agenda includes the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, 1 recognition, 1 acknowledgement, public comment, consent action item, which includes 8 items under executive services, 8 items under business and finance, 3 items under operations, 3 items under teaching and learning, and 4 items under other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Fisher, second by Mrs. Dozier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And now Ms. Fisher will deliver the invocation, after which Ms. Morgan will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise. Lord, we ask that you look upon all gathered here today. We thank you for bringing us to this new year, full with new opportunities to serve others. We pray for peace and an end to violence in our community. As we come together as a governance team, inspire us to embrace our responsibilities and grant us the wisdom to make informed and meaningful decisions. Help us to work together with our superintendent and all staff in harmony, and to find joy in the tasks at hand as we share ideas and plan for the future of our children. We ask that you bless us all with personal peace and freedom. In your name, amen.
Amen. At this time, please welcome Command Sergeant Major Sean Branham, Army Instructor of the JROTC program at South Fort Myers High School. He will introduce the cadet presenting the colors this evening. Sergeant Major Branham retired after 24 years of active duty service and is a veteran of Desert Storm and Desert Shield, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan, for that introduction. The national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be presented by Cadet Tatiana Fowler, Brigade Commander of the Wolfpack Academy Junior ROTC program. Cadet Fowler is a senior at South Fort Myers High School and has achieved a GPA of 3.2. She has been actively involved in the JROTC program over the past 4 years, filling numerous key leadership positions. Prior to being selected as the brigade commander in her senior year, she has commanded the Raider team and female exhibition squad and platoon drill teams. Tatiana is in the medical program at South and will soon earn her certified nursing assistant certification. She will attend the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York, to study biology and pursue a career in the medical field. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Oh, that's right.
Good afternoon. I would like to invite the following individuals from North Fort Myers High School to please join me here at the lectern. Mr. Matthew Kay, AICE United States History and Advanced Placement, Human Geography teacher, and Principal Mr. Matthew Maduris. Congratulations. The Lee County Teacher of the Year program provides an opportunity to recognize instructional personnel who foster excellence in education, provide local and district leadership, and have a proven record of superior teaching as evidenced by student performance. This recognition celebrates the contributions of teachers who demonstrate the ability to inspire a love of learning in students of all backgrounds and abilities. The recipient of this award for the 2016 school year, Mr. Matthew Kay, serves as a highly elective Social Studies PLC Department Chairman. His colleagues see him as their instructional leader because of his wealth of knowledge in professional development and best practices. He is currently working on his doctoral degree from Florida Gulf Coast University, specializing in education leadership. Mr. Kay teaches AICE, United States History, and Advanced Placement Human Geography 2 extremely demanding courses, providing his students with extensive resources and experiences that have enabled them to receive scholarships, awards at local, state, and national colleges and universities. He participates in peer coaching and mentoring students who are experiencing difficulties, of whose students they are not just his own students, but many AICE AP students as well. He engages parents and families in the learning process to enhance student achievement. Mr. K is a truly exceptional, talented, highly skilled, and dedicated teacher. The school board and the superintendent are pleased to recognize Mr. K as the Lee County School District's 2016 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations.
I'll be very brief. I just want to thank the school district, the school board members, superintendent for the opportunity to be here tonight, and for your recognition, not just for me, but for all the teachers and everything we do. And again, to express how proud I am to be a member of the Lee County School District, to be a teacher and educator in this district, and to represent in part of all the great things that we do here. And on a personal level, I'd like to thank my family and friends who are here tonight, my parents, my grandmother-in-law, my sister-in-law, church members, my pastor, former basketball coach Ed O'Brien, and all my friends for being here to support me tonight. And it's a very special moment in my career. Thank you. Oh, right.
At this point, I would like to introduce Braden March, who will now preside over our meeting as our student representative and read the character word of the day. Mr. March.
Character word of the day, or for January, is commitment. Binding yourself to a course of action despite obstacles. Make yourself a promise and keep it. The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a man's determination. Tommy Lasorda. The design you see displayed was created by Skyana Billman, a 10th grade student from Island Coast High School.
Thank you, Mr. March. At this time, we now have public comment. Mr. Martin, would you please read the disclaimer for public comment?
School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a card and submitted that to me before the meeting began, you'll be called in the order of the cards submitted. If you did not submit a card but still wish to address the school board this evening, the school board chair, Mr. Torber, will give you an opportunity in a moment to express that desire. The rules concerning public comment are posted in the back of the room. The school board does not respond during public comment time to remarks made by speakers. At the conclusion of public comment time, the school board chair may address concerns raised by speakers or may assign responsibility to the superintendent to do so. The time allowed per speaker is 3 minutes. Mr. Torber, I have one card this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is there anybody in the right side of the room that did not have the opportunity to fill out a card but wishes to speak? Ms. Fahey and Ms. Athendaksu. Is there anybody else? On the left side. And okay, Mr. Martin, will you call your first card?
Mr. George Fox.
Thank you, Board. Once again, up to speak. A couple of different things, though, other than my hatred of certificates of participation. You know, school choice. I mean, out there in the political world, school choice is a big thing. Most people don't think about it. But this board has to deal with that. And I think it's time for this board just to say this is a school choice district, and that's the way it is. I mean, I think politically there's too much up in the air. There's people out there who think this board should abandon the school choice policy altogether. But I don't see anything this board or this district's doing that's moving away from school choice. If anything, it's moving towards it. I mean, your discussion at the briefing about adding a jet engine repair thing, that's school choice. I mean, if you do it at one school, you're going to have to do it in all 3 zones. That's school choice. I think that this board would do itself in this district, and everybody in this entire community, if this board would finally say, we are a school choice district, and that's the way it is. That might help clear a few things up out there in the political world, which seems to be a big obstacle to doing the right thing here, as far as the finances of this district are. The second thing I'd like to address is the Bonita High School. And I see, and I appreciate the effort. It's not easy acquiring land. It's particularly in an area like Bonita. But have you explored buying property that already has a building on it? I mean, buy a choice piece of property in the right spot. You might have to pay a premium, but if you buy something that's vacant, you're going to have to put fill dirt on it anyways, a couple $1 million worth of dirt, and you don't really want to build on new dirt anyways because it settles. Just keep that in mind. So, look at, there are 40-acre sites. There's not many of them in Bonita, but there are places along Bonita Beach Road, which is ideal for, locating, because you have to look, you may pay a premium for that price, but look at the busing. You build something on the west side or the east side of 75, you got to bus all those kids all over town. Under that, Bonita Beach Road, there's only 2 lanes. I mean, you talk about a traffic snarly mess to and fro all day long because of school buses and kids trying to get to and from school and pedestrians and everything else that have to go into there. And the other one's a better piece of property. It's certainly on the right side of the interstate, but it is north. It's not where the majority of the kids are. Dr. Atkins, I applaud you. I think it's the right move, even if you have to wait a year to get the right piece of property. There's no doubt. That is the most important thing. And that's another thing, that having cash in the bank. Buying land is a whole lot easier when you have cash. You can drive a better bargain and you can get what you want. But I think that you should look, there are properties, functioning properties that are high and dry, that if you really look at it, by the time you bought the right property, get it in the right spot, change make the entrance and exits, get the lights and everything that needs to be done, you probably break even by the time you truck in a couple $1 million worth of dirt and then build a building that's going to settle on you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Your time's up, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Fahey?
Hi, my name's Lori Fahey, and I have a really bad cold tonight, so I'm not going to stay, but I hope that you'll all respond in your comments. I sent an email yesterday to all of you about the district testing, and I've had a couple conversations about that today with districts and with the teachers. We have a blank district testing calendar. The media has reported we don't give district tests. We're still giving district tests that are called checkpoints. And in the letter that I sent you from one of our teachers, that was just for an ELA class, English Language Arts, she was having to give 4 classes just for writing and reading tests for progress monitoring. Our progress monitoring, according to the statute, is only required for students who achieve a level 1 or 2 on the FCAT or FSA, and it excludes students with IEPs. Now, I'm sure it's difficult to decide which kids to give these progress monitoring tests to and which ones not, My main point on this is we need to be transparent. We want the community to support the district. We want the community to support the superintendent and our board. In order to do that, we need to be straightforward. We cannot double talk about what these tests are. If we're going to give them, just say what they are, please. I've asked that each of the schools list the tests. It hasn't happened. And I do appreciate the district reaching out and Soretta calling me and talking with me about it. But, you know, I'm hearing from the district that, well, it's a state mandate and it's up to the school and the teachers if they choose to give the test. The option is that the schools are given is that they can either give this test or give that test. They still have to give a test. And so we're putting all this pressure and the blame on the teachers and the school, and that's just not right. They don't need to shoulder that. It needs to be said that the district is saying that these tests have to be given. And I don't think that they're all necessary. I'm not a specialist. So I'm hoping that the board and the superintendent can come together and find a way to get rid of some of these tests and to be a whole lot more transparent with us about what tests you're giving. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Akinaksu? Mary?
Hi, Mary Orthodoxu. Good evening, Board, Superintendent. I was going to touch on the testing as well. I've been talking to a lot of teachers in the community. They are overloaded with the testing. Nothing has changed. We changed the superintendent, but we still are giving out all these tests. In fact, we're giving more tests. Dr. Atkins, you had promised that the district tests were going to stop and these checkpoints were going to stop. And it's not. They're still testing like crazy. Teachers are frustrated. They're fed up with what's going on. They feel our district is failing us. Board members are failing them. They're scared to death to speak out because they've been threatened not to talk about Common Core because it's Florida State standards, which is Common Core. They're not allowed to even use those words, they're told. What the hell is going on here? That we're bullying and threatening teachers. We're being dishonest to the people in the community, and speaking of which, now we'll go into this last, I'm going to say bogus investigation. You used the same guy again. You redacted the whole investigation from the public's eyes, and you have a little scam going on with Mr. Daly. You see, he's got a big mouth. Jeannie, Mary, and Steve. He gave you all up. That you're backing him and you're bad-mouthing Donnie, that you're bad-mouthing Chris Quackenbush all over the place. Let me tell you something. Those that live in glass houses should not be throwing stones because I got a file on each of you. This is ridiculous. How unprofessional can we get? Now, your last investigation. You didn't even interview the people that Jeannie Dozier let out about. I am demanding an independent investigation of this board, not your Mr. Gonzalez that you're friends with, Jeannie. All this money that you have taken from the public in tax dollars and spent on these investigations to cover up the wrongdoing in this district. It is absolutely disgusting what you guys think, that we're so stupid we don't see through what you're doing. Each one of you sitting up here. The public is on to you. The talk out on the streets would have your hair curling. You put a new man in the seat, and we all know why. We all know why. I want to know why certain people were not even interviewed on this last investigation. I asked for a FOIA request. I spoke to Dr. Atkins in an email. He was kind to respond.
Thank you, Ms. Orthodox. Your time's up, ma'am.
Mr. Valenta?
I like that character word, commitment. Commitment to the children, commitment to the families, commitment to the teachers, commitment to getting rid of Common Core and high-stakes testing, which goes hand in hand with my New Year's resolution. I'd like to talk about 4C81. Is ParentLink fixed so the app doesn't track GPS location? Because if it's not, I'm totally and fundamentally opposed to spending $228,000 with them. Now is our opportunity to voice our disagreement with this, while we have a carrot to dangle. Even administrative employees have voiced their uneasiness with this practice. 4C86, it doesn't specify, but I assume that Smart Dollar is a program for teachers to help them budget their debt so they don't have problems with their summer pay shortfall. While a noble gesture, do we really need to spend $30,000 to teach teachers how to budget? And if we really do, are we doing adults an ultimate disservice by holding their hands this way? I want to thank Dr. Adkins and his staff for a good meeting regarding his rough draft for a plan to save the district money on transportation costs. Much of what he proposed seems common sense to me and others, and I encourage the board to support this initiative once the details are worked out. I also want to thank him and his staff for holding a series of public forums, the first of which will be held January 21st at 6 p.m. at South Fort Myers High School. I encourage everyone within earshot and beyond to bring at least 3 people with them to attend. I also want to talk about SAC meeting that I went to last night, where it was revealed there's a lot more checkpoint tests tied to FSA. And my understanding is that it varies from school to school, and to some degree it depends on the teachers and the administration in that school. But these are FSA tests, and I think you all know how we feel about those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valenta. Mr. Eagle.
Thank you. As many of you know, my neighborhood in Cape Coral was devastated by the tornado 3 days ago. And I wanted to, first of all, say a thank you to our high school students in the area who you could see time and time again going around and dropping off bottled water, asking anybody if they need help. It is just wonderful to see a fine, outstanding group of our students going forward and doing the right thing. So just wanted to put a big thank you out there to them. I know the members in the community appreciate it. Unfortunately, Mary took a lot of my talking points. You know, one thing I wanted to do with the investigations is with my talking points, put some facts forward. And, you know, I don't know if it's 25,000, if it's 5,000, if it's 15,000 with Mr. Thomas Gonzalez, but as many of you know, and I've talked to you about it, I did some talking with people as well, many before he did. And there's just a lot that's not adding up, and I'm going to put it forward here. First of all, in the preliminary investigation that the district did, they put out the wrong Mark Anderson files. And I don't know how that happens, if it's incompetence or it was put out purposely, but that's a very big concern. The next thing is the investigation brought forward a bunch of stuff on Charles Daly, and whether it's true or not is not for me to decide, but it's going to be a slap on the wrist if he was doing stuff on the side for his campaign. We know that. The big thing was, as everybody that I talked to, there's a gentleman whose name's not even on there, and his relative is an administrator in the district. So that's number one. That raises some concern. Number two is the Mark Anderson file, who's not even Mark Anderson. That's a huge concern because it's asking what's going on here. You know, this is $25,000 of our money, and we'd like to know where it's going to. Number three, again, the slap on the wrist versus all the people in the original report and others that said time and time again over 3 years they reported cheating scandals. That wasn't the first one, that was like the 12th one from everybody you talked to. So the big slap on the wrist is nothing compared to the fact that this district would have faced penalty after penalty after penalty for not reporting these. So my question is, how did these not get reported one time, but how about numerous? Okay. Is that happen that people just shut up all the time, or are they being told not to, and how far does it go up? Because people don't just shut up and not do their job. If you're a teacher, you're scared to death not to do the right thing. So how is it that 5, 10, 12 times you don't report it? Somebody's telling you not to. So what's going on here? That's some things we'd like to know. We know that the school would have been shut down and funds would have been taken away. Okay, nobody wants to get anybody in trouble, but when do you stop this corruption? So what do we do about this, and how far did it go to the top, and who knew about it? We'd like some answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eagle. Next on the agenda is I'd like to just respond to a few of these things before we move on, I guess. Mr. Fox, we are a choice program, and we have been a choice program. We were mandated because of the Blaylock decision, and we elected in 2002 when the mandate lifted for us to stay into a choice system. So we have maintained that policy and enunciate it correctly. The reason why we do that is to offer more opportunities and only have to duplicate things twice in our 3 zones rather than 13 times for our high schools. This board has taken an active approach that, are the elementary schools and the middle schools that different, particularly the elementary schools, and can we make it more efficient by making that neighborhoods? The first challenge is as soon as we make sure that all the elementaries are at the same level, and they're not. So the first thing to do is to get stability in those schools, and Dr. Atkins has worked since his onset to make that happen, and the things he's trying to do to put the resources where they need to be to allow that to happen. So we recognize that there's some things we can improve, and we're always looking to improve a choice program, but this board and this superintendent have committed to a choice program, and until that changes, we are a choice system. So as far as the Bonita property, Ms. Dozier gave us a really nice report at the briefing as far as where we are and the complexities that we have to go through that we're currently working on, and that is moving forward. And like you said, location is everything, and we think we have it down to 2 properties, and that we should see some progress here in the next several weeks. As far as Ms. Fahey, as far as the testing, you sent the letter this morning at 10. I saw at noon Dr. Atkins had responded to you to speak to Ms. Ralph to kind of get you up to date, but also letting you know he didn't enunciate the date there, but Mr. Valenta was kind enough to do that. We're trying to be more transparent with what's going on with our testing, what we're doing, the efforts that Dr. Atkins is doing based upon the direction from this board to reduce testing. So it's not something that can happen overnight, and it's not something that can be done completely, but he is doing the best things that he can do to still provide the programs that we need and the evaluations we need, comply with the state, and then reduce and listen to the community. To that end, he has set up these meetings, the first one being at South Fort Myers High School, starting at 6 o'clock, Dr. Atkins? 6 o'clock on January 21st. That will be the one of many, and we encourage people. This is not a one-way dialogue. This is that we will present information, but we want to hear from the public, and we want to get the community as much involved in this situation. So, and this is just one of the topics. Dr. Atkins has been discussing having other issues as far as that goes on. He's been very active with the Bonita community as far as the Bonita school location. Everything we do, we want the community involved. We want to be more transparent. It's just very difficult with 90,000 students and 500,000 people to get that to happen. So I appreciate Mr. Valenta's position. When you come, bring 3 of your friends. They may not realize how important the school district impacts their lives, but it does. And so we would appreciate more and more involvement because it makes us a much better school district. And Mr. Valenta, I don't know about the issues that you had mentioned, but you saw the report and for what it is, and I know there's still an investigation, still things ongoing, and that's about as much as we can tell until things get further more through the investigative process. Moving now to the approval action items on the agenda under consent. Board members, today are there any polls in the consent agenda? Ms. Fisher.
Yes, 4B8, page 61.
4D8?
4B8.
4B8.
Page 61.
Is that the only one?
Yes.
Ms. Dozier.
That was the same one I had.
Okay. Ms. Morgan.
I have none.
Okay. This time I'll take a motion for the agenda's consent actions with the exception of 4B8.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Fisher, second by Ms. Dozier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We'll now move to our pulled item. Dr. Atkins, would you please read the agenda item of 4B8?
Recommend board approval of the utilization of funds not to exceed $350,000 from the district's health care fund for the purpose of completing the build-out of the on-site wellness center.
Board members, you've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Fisher, seconded by Ms. Dozier. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher.
Yes, and that's why I pulled it, was for discussion. The build-out of the Wellness Center. Recently, we received from the state the Florida Healthy Schools Gold Award, and more recently from the World of Work, a global recognition for wellness program for our employees. We know that with workplace wellness programs, we have fewer absences, we have greater on-the-job productivity, and increased work satisfaction, and then ultimately higher retention of employees, and we also save money on insurance. I did some work, and it seems as though the return on investment is potentially up to $13 for each dollar spent. I believe that we're on the right path, and I support this motion tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Ms. Dozier?
Yes, thank you. I had also pulled up about this award, and there are 49 new companies that have been awarded this distinguished award of World at Work 2016 Seal of Distinction. And Lee County is among one of the companies, universities, school districts, and we're in very good company. You can go and look up some of the companies, but there's like George Mason University, John Hopkins University, Health Systems, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. All of these individuals, and for Lee County to be also recognized to be in such a distinguished group, I think it speaks volumes for Ms. Bonnie McFarland, who oversees our entire health area, and all the people that work in our wellness program here in Lee County. Dr. Atkins and I have had discussions around this, and I know that the build-out will serve to enhance the better health of our employees, and the fact that we are going to also have a health clinic in there, which will also be something, our plan for a health clinic, I should say. Because the facility will be there. And I know that that is something that I have been pushing for a very long time. And that in itself, every district, every organization, every hospital, the sheriff from the sheriff's department, everybody that has one in their own facility, they have it for several reasons. And, it's to provide that extra care for their employees to where they don't have to take off to go to the doctor's appointment. They don't have to, they can come in because you open up after hours and all this type of thing. So I just look forward to supporting this tonight, and I also look forward to the expansion of it, and I look forward to very healthy employees. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dozier. Ms. Morgan, anything?
No.
Thank you. And I would just like to add, this is money coming from the Health Insurance Fund, which is, we're a self-funded insurance program. So this is from the funds that we'd pay out for the claims that are being made. Because of the improvements that we've seen over the last several years, because of the health improvement programs, we've seen an increase in that, substantially an increase in that funds as far as less claims paid based upon a better, healthier workforce. And so this money is really reinvestment back into that program to perpetuate, to continue to do that with our clinic and the fitness center. So I also will be supporting this, and I will encourage Dr. Atkins to make it sure that everybody in the district, the hours compensate so everybody has the ability to use it, and not just the people downtown. Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Next, we'll move to our board member comments. Ms. Fisher. Are we that quick? We have no superintendent's recommendations. We have no no attorney recommendations.
Okay, we were quick. Okay. I want to thank Braden for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure to have a student representative here, and he is on our school board student advisory committee, and he's been a great contributor and has a lot of good ideas, so thank you, Braden. I also want to thank the Bayshore Cloggers. They were wonderful. And yes, we had a tornado in Western Cape Coral, and I do want to say that our students, our administrators, and our staff from the surrounding schools were out helping the community following the tornado. So I want to thank them all for responding and taking care of those people who were impacted and affected. Last Saturday, Cape Coral Technical College had an open house. They featured their programs from culinary to cosmetology, and they told about their high employability. They literally have people from the community looking for the students. It was a great event and another piece of good news for the Lee County School District. Other good news is the already mentioned World at Work Global Recognition, a partnership between Buckingham Exceptional Center and Riverdale High School, where they play sports and establish friendships, and it's another piece of our inclusion that we do here in Lee Counties. And I read in the news press that Dr. Atkins is on the list of people to watch in 2016. I mentioned it to him, and he said it's really all about the team, and I know that that's what they're going to notice about him, is the way he does work with the entire team to include the community. The Lee County Coalition for a Drug-Free Southwest Florida is sponsoring the 22nd Drug House Odyssey at the Lee County Civic Center from February 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They are looking for volunteers. They invite all of our 5th grade students who are bused there from their schools with their teachers. It has had a great impact. They've won awards and gotten a lot of community support. Most recently are being additionally funded by the United Way. You can go to Drug Free Southwest Florida if you're interested in volunteering. And on Wednesday, the 3rd, is family night, and we encourage people to go with their students and families. It's a worthwhile thing to see. I hear that Talc and Spout people are taking a bus ride to Tallahassee on Thursday to rally for public education, and I wish them Godspeed. And lastly, January is National Mentoring Month, and I want to take a special minute to thank all of those people who give their time to make a difference in the life of the child. And it does make a difference, just ask the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Ms. Dozier?
I would like to also thank Braden, and he not only is serving our student advisory this year, but he also served last year, and he really gives us a lot of insight, and I thank him for being here tonight and his willingness to step up and do whatever anyone asks him to. Thank you so much, Braden. And weren't those cloggers the cutest little things you've ever seen? I mean, every one of them, and it didn't go unnoticed. The hat fell, and he was fixing the little girl, putting the bow in her hair. That was one of the cutest things. Susan and I were over there talking about it. There were some comments that were made tonight during public comment that, you know, it's real easy to stand when you got a microphone and to say whatever you want to say. And I would ask that we basically have been asked not to talk about the investigation. And I would ask Dr. Atkins if you would please provide, there was a cost that was put out tonight, if you could talk about the cost and anything else that you could address. But I'm going to talk about some specific things that were said around the investigation and around the teacher's overload. You know, I do have teachers that call me regularly, and I talk to them, and then I take their concerns to Dr. Atkins. I don't hesitate to do that. I just regret that Ms. Orthodoxo is not here because I had a few words for her, so I'll save them until she's here again. I applaud Mr. Fox for continuing to be diligent and come back and keep us on the right track as far as financially. I look forward to the day when we have stability, fiducial transparency, so that we can go out to the community, because until we get all of those things in place, and I think that it'll come sooner than later, and I know that you will be right there with us leading the banner, so I look forward to us having that partnership. Ms. Fahey, I apologize, I did not see your email today. I have not checked email today because of getting ready to come to, Tuesdays are a day that I usually don't get to my email until the evening, and I did not see it. But one of the things that I continue to have conversations around with Dr. Atkins is the testing, and the fact that I think there's too much testing going on. I think the testing is hurting kids, and that's one of the things that we need to do with our, not only here in the district, we can tighten up and look at everything that's out there, but also at the state level, we need to let them know. And earlier, someone spoke at public comment talking about the Commissioner of Education, if the commissioner could be elected opposed to being appointed. This would take so much of the politics out of the decision that person makes, because right now, a lot of the decisions that the Commissioner of Education makes are based on, let me see, if I make this decision, will I have my job tomorrow? Will the governor remove me from this? Because it is an appointed seat by the governor. And, the electorate, because of the wording, I think that the electorate voted for it, that it sounded good the way it was written. And the next day, it was kind of like they scratched their head and they said, what? We voted for what? Because they really didn't understand that they were going to lose the opportunity to vote for the Commissioner of Education. So I hope that there will be a referendum. I hope that we will be able to put that in front of the people, and we'll be able to have an elected Commissioner of Education, because I do think better work is done and more work is done when the person is an elected position. So I'll certainly be advocating and supporting that. So that's all I have, Mr.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Toiber. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dozier. Ms. Morgan?
I have none, thank you.
None this evening. Thank you. I just have two real quick ones. The first one is the Bayshore Elementary School actually gave all of us a small bottle of blossom honey, orange blossom honey. So I want to thank them for the entire board. And I also want to, again, congratulate Mr. Kay. For a parent to be able to experience your child going to a class that's, as Ms. Dozier said, the AP or the ACE program, social studies, is not something you enjoy going to. When your daughter comes home excited to do that homework and excited to go to that class, and then is just elated every time she talks about that teacher, that's what we have. That's the magic we have all around the school, all around our district. And it's not just the one that won it, but it's everywhere. If you really want to talk about our school districts, call me up and we'll have coffee. We'll talk about any problem, school choice, whatever. But I implore you, before you go to complain, go to one of our schools, go spend some time in the classroom, see what's really going on in our classrooms at any grade, and it'll amaze you. That's all I've got. I'll now move to, actually, before I move to superintendent, I'm going to actually move to our student representative.
Thank you. My name is Braden March. Thank you all for the recognition. I really appreciate it. I'm on the student advisory board of Lee County. It's a group of students whose goal is to put the opinion of the students into faculty, of teachers in schools, and the board into the adults' minds. Because without the students, there would be no board and there would be no schools. So we look to do that. And I look forward to listening to all of your opinion on all of these subjects. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Now I'll move to, actually, before I move to Dr. Atkins, move to Mr. Martin. Do you have any comments today?
None this evening, thank you.
All right. Dr. Atkins.
Okay, I have a number of comments, and I'll start with, let me just start with addressing the comments as related to the investigation as best as I can. One of the goals that we had was to, of course, be transparent, and I've spoken rather openly about, really the frustration with having to deal with a redacted report, understanding why, but as a result of that, it's why I made public statements that I made and did talk to members of the media about the report to try to be as open as we possibly can given the law that we are bound by and will continue to be. As it relates to the cost, at this point I believe the piece that for which I'm responsible for is approximately $38,000. Mr. Martin did let me know that $3,800, excuse me, thank you. That was a good catch right there. But with, probably one or two more bills coming in, but there was a rather reduced limit on what it would actually be. So it's $3,800 at this point. I continue to work with members of the public who come in and speak to me. Mr. Regal, for example, we are going to go through a number of different items. We've had 3 separate meetings, and I will continue to do that. I do know that for this public and this community to have faith in this board, this superintendent, and this executive team, we have to be open and transparent. So I welcome the inquiry, and again, as it relates to this particular investigation, we'll respond to those as best I can, and I do believe as we go along, there's more that we can respond to. So, and then you'll see, that we are being open in our work. Speaking of work, you already mentioned World at Work, the Work to Life 2016 Seal of Distinction. So I do want to congratulate Heather Parker, who's our wellness coordinator, Bonnie McFarland, and actually our whole team. I mean, this is a district-wide effort. It is quite a distinction, so we're quite proud of that. I want to thank this board for your support of our wellness build-out, and that is just the beginning. The one is the build-out that we're doing right now. We are certainly looking at the build-out of a clinic, can be a next phase to it that we're going to explore. I've talked about wellness walks around this particular building. In fact, I just got a text that let me know that we are going to take a tour of Chico's, who has all of this already in place, to give us some ideas. And so we're going to certainly do that, produce a wellness walk here, do the same thing down the 6 Mile, and hopefully that will spread throughout the district, because we have seen this is a direct savings. I mean, our costs were getting up to something like $71 million a year in medical costs. We were looking at, a significant reduction down to, like $5 million and below a month in terms of what we're paying. And that, I think, a lot of has to do with wellness. So I certainly appreciate the support. Mr. Valente and others have mentioned the educational forum. Just take a minute to talk about this. This is a forum that we're going to have at South High School at 6 o'clock, January 21st. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to lay out our vision as it relates to standards for Lee County Standards of Excellence, also progress monitoring and assessment. I think that's something we have to openly discuss out in the community, because I share Mrs. Fahey's concern that we are certainly not on the same page in this district today. We did remove testing requirements other than what is required, but then what we did was we gave, schools the ability to make a, determination locally in terms of what they would do. What we have found is that we have schools that are doing the same as they were doing before, others that were going in a different direction, and we really don't feel, we think we went 180 degrees on the other side of things. So now it's our job, we think, as an executive team to get back together and do testing, assessment, and progress monitoring that makes sense, and then provide some guidance for our schools. I'm hesitant to do anything top-down, but I do believe that what we have seen as a result of this is that we have many different things going on, and some situations where you have quite a bit of testing and progress monitoring, so our change hasn't made a difference in certain facilities. So we have to provide, I think, the leadership there to make that happen. We were trying to rely on local control, but that wasn't far enough. So we're working as an executive team to make that a thing. So part of that educational forum will be about that. But the first part of it, I just want to take just a moment and talk a little bit about Lee County Standards for Excellence, or whatever we want to call this. That is just what came out of my head, and certainly there's people that will have much better ideas around this. But right now, I think that we're relying on, a Florida standard, which is supposed to be a career and college readiness standard, and it neither meets the standard for college readiness or career readiness. Because if you meet our standard in the state of Florida, does that mean that you're prepared to go to the University of Florida or even FGCU? Not necessarily. A lot of our kids wind up graduating from high school, meeting the quote standard, and then going off to Florida Gulf Coast University or Florida Southwestern or another place and take some entry-level courses, and then they're taking remedial classes. And certainly if they're having to take remedial classes, then they're not college ready. It's that simple. They've met our standard, but they're not college ready. Same with the career. I've said at this table before, we've had merchants in the area, people in business in the area that have talked to some of you, also talked to me about, hey, your students that are graduating from high school are not ready for the jobs that they're walking into. And so they're not career ready either. Now, in many cases, I think they are, coming out of Dunbar High School, Microsoft certified and Adobe certified and Cisco and all this other stuff is just amazing, but that is not the case across the district. So how do you make it the case across the district? You have to have a career readiness standard that we have to apply. So part of this is what is important for this community, what is important for local business, what is important to the citizenry, the parents, to say that our kids are graduating from high school prepared for the world, because what they're up against a highly competitive world today. So we have to have a standard that is better than the state of Florida if we want to be truly world class, and our goal is to be the best in the nation, not just the best in Florida. So you have to have standards to do that. The second part of that is talking about how do we grade ourselves. Right now, the state of Florida has gone out and they've moved from FCAT to FCAT 2.0 to FSA. And now they're only putting out proficiency. Well, proficiency doesn't tell me much of anything. It's just kind of a dipstick. Here's where the kid is today in terms of proficiency against the standards that we've already said maybe are not rigorous enough. So instead, how are schools performing? Because we get kids from all over the world at all different levels. A student will come from Guatemala, for example, with little or no education. A kid will move down from somewhere in the Midwest, and they're performing above standard, and they're in the same classroom, and we have to deal with that. One of the things we have to realize is how far did we take that kid from that is new to the country, new to the language, and move them in a year. And they may still stay at level 1 during the course of that year, but they've made tremendous growth in that particular year. The state of Florida's system does not measure that. The gentleman that was here, the last board meeting, I think I mentioned earlier, works mainly with level 1 students. And he's not going to provide you a blip on the Florida radar screen, but in our balanced scorecard system, I just got the balanced scorecard results for elementary school. We have them for middle school. We're working on them for high school. We're going to be able to measure how our schools are doing in Lee County. And we're going to push Florida to give us all the data so we can measure ourselves against Florida, not just against ourselves. And so that way, we can make decisions about what schools are effective and what schools are not effective. Because right now, you can figure out what schools are effective based on socioeconomics predominantly, and that's not fair. That's not fair. So we're going to develop our own system because the state hasn't done an adequate job in developing a system to really assess how schools are doing. So that's that's going to be the first phase of this, along with a sensible testing and assessment schedule. And then the second phase is going to be developing those standards of excellence with a lot of community input, support, same with our teachers, local colleges and universities. I think we're all in this, not to be cliche, together, but we need to produce, I think, sensible standards backed up by progress monitoring and assessment system that we all believe in. and measure schools in a way that we all believe in. So that's hopefully what these forums are about. And then the other piece is that the forums are about the public providing input into your school district. So what I hope is that we do get people out there, because we've had forums in the past, and you go out and there's 6 or 7 people there. Now, I think I know the folks that are interested, and they're not going to let that happen. I really don't believe they're going to let that happen. We're going to have a full house, but that's great. I mean, that's people participating in their child's education. So we're looking forward to that. 21st is the first one. Tornado, we did have students and staff members that were impacted by that, including one on our own operations team. So I do appreciate everyone's efforts there, and our prayers certainly go to those families, because that was quite a shock. I've seen a tornado in Cape Coral, but it was just a simple one, and you hardly ever hear them doing much damage. So this was quite shocking. So I do appreciate everyone's efforts to support those families in their time of need. I do want to discuss the school choice. Mr. Fox, we do have a plan that you might want to take a look at as it relates to, I think, more sensible choice. One of the things that I have to struggle with is the fact that right now, if you compare us to mega districts in the state of Florida, in terms of transportation expenditures, we have about 6.86% of our total expenditures are devoted toward transportation. The average in the mega districts in the state of Florida are 4%. So we've got to get that number down. We've got to increase our, our average bus occupancy, or ABO. We have to increase the number of students that are choosing schools that are in their neighborhood, and we also have to do something to reduce that choice down. So right now, if you have elementary schools, or you're coming into kindergarten, you may have 17 choices in terms of where you go to elementary school, and that just doesn't make sense. It's not efficient. Mr. Morgan gives me the example of a kid in Charleston Park, which is way up. There's probably cloggers that live around Charleston Park. They're at Alva. It's in the east zone, but those kids up in Charleston Park, which are just kind of up the road from the Alva Diner, can go to school at Tree Line, which is right up Colonial and hang a right on Tree Line, and so that you think about all of what you have to go through. So we have to make some more common sense decisions around subzones and proximity. So we're in the process of doing that. We have a 3-year plan, but the first part of the plan is try to get tremendous leadership, teachers, and principals into our most challenging schools. So schools that are struggling, we're looking at data, that balanced scorecard that I just mentioned, but also you look at our choice data, student assignment data, where are the under-selected schools, and then how do we improve the selectivity of those particular schools and make them to where, that school's right down the street. So right now, half of our parents or our kids choose a school further away than their closest school. So our goal is to turn that paradigm around to the vast majority, like 80 or 90%, are choosing that school closest, but they have to be very confident in that particular school. So that's phase 1, and then phase 2 is where we start making programmatic changes. So it's not because there's some advantages to our choice system, but I think 17 schools, I think we would all agree, is just too many choices. Parents say that, I'm overwhelmed, but if I just have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's more reasonable, and it's also more reasonable from a transportation perspective. So, our goals are measurable, but our also goals, I think, are about providing a better education for our kids, no matter where you go to school. So, I apologize for the length in my comments, but I wanted to address all of those particular issues. And having said that is all I have for this evening, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. And I'd like to pay notice to Boy Scout Troop 101 sitting in the back. They came here to watch under the leadership of Amanda Jobs. I'd like to welcome you here to watch this. Our next scheduled meeting of the board is on Wednesday, January 27th. There's a special board meeting at 2 p.m., immediately followed by a school board briefing meeting, as well as a school board action meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, having no other business to come before this body, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Fisher, seconded by Mrs. Dozier. All those in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.